generations. And now, the power of two restores the one.
We got a bidet! Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today we got the Shoot the Sheev of the month, where we talk about the different things that happened in Star Wars for the month of July this time. Well, we got a handful of things for you. Some of them we've kind of touched on throughout the month, but of course here we want to recollect all of our stuff. That way, if you want a one-stop shop, we got it here for you. So I guess first things first, let's talk about the obvious in the room. We're going to talk about some movies / show news here. And matter of factly, The Acolyte has wrapped up this month, right? Sarah, how was The Acolyte?
Well, I think the budget was so high because they had to pay a lot of bots or people to program bots to comment on all their Facebook posts about how great and fantastic this movie is, or I'm sorry, the show, and how they're so glad they're not a narrow-minded Star Wars viewer.
Yeah, that about wraps it up. Yeah, I in particular didn't really care for The Acolyte. Um, I know I've seen mixed things all over social media. I've seen people that love it. I've seen people that hate it. I do think a good chunk of the people that like it are bots, like you mentioned, just because a lot of the verbiage is the same that they are using. Like you can almost do a control F find and just see the same thing written over and over again from different accounts. Uh,
Best Star Wars show I've ever seen. Disney's doing Star Wars right. I'm so glad I'm not narrow-minded. It's always that narrow-minded one is what gets me every time. I feel like that's one of the first indicators it's a bot.
right. Uh, I was thinking about this and like reflecting on the show a little bit. No, I'm not going to say that I feel differently about the show. But I kind of wonder how it would have been if it was a movie, a 2.5 hour film. Most of these episodes are around like 25 minutes a piece. So, you got about 4 hours of footage, which is usually what happens with movies, and they cut it down. Um, there's a good chance it might have been a little bit better, a little bit more concise.
Would
Uh,
have at least helped with, what was it, like episode 4, we had a really abrupt episode ending. Like it wasn't just a cliffhanger, it was like somebody hit pause and then you had to wait till next week. Like it wasn't fluid. So I mean it would help with little things like that, but I don't know if that would really this show needs a lot more help than just that.
well, if it was a movie and they'd have to cut it down, they would have to be more concise about everything. So, guaranteed we don't get 2 episodes worth of flashback. I feel like that ends up getting cleaned up quite a bit. Uh, a lot of the wishy-washy with back and forth of I'm going to be a good person, I'm going to be a bad person with May and Osha. I think that gets wrapped up a little more tightly. Maybe there's a one significant thing that causes a switch, not multiple ones back and forth. Um, just because I've seen the fan edit of Kenobi, and it's phenomenal. If you haven't seen it yet, watch it. It is very, very good. But it makes me wonder if there's ever going to be some sort of fan edit for the Acolyte, which might make it better. And if the person that did Kenobi ends up doing it, I'm definitely going to check it out just to see what changes could be there. But speaking of the Acolyte, once the show wrapped up, of course, the director and writer, Leslie Headland, wants a season 2, and it's to the point where she's kind of begging fans to campaign for it. And one of the things that she's doing that I think is showing that maybe she knows she didn't do such a good job for season one, but she wants a second chance, is she keeps talking about, oh, we have a plan for Plagueis because we saw Plagueis very briefly in season one. She has supposedly gone on to say that Plagueis is Chymere's master and that we see how some of that stuff shakes out. And then we had the Yoda at the end as well. So of course there's that carrot that's dangling in front of our faces. But at the same time, I feel like I would much rather have a Plagueis story told by and written by somebody completely different. I don't want it associated with the Acolyte. I want it to be its own thing. That way it can be done right and not have to be centered around these characters that we already know and hate, not know and love. So I don't know. I really don't want a season two of The Acolyte. I just feel like, it wasn't like Boba Fett where I'm thinking it's not quite what I wanted, but here and there were some great things. So I want a season two. I didn't care about a single character, maybe a little bit about Chimere's helmet, not necessarily as much about himself that I would want a season two from it. So I don't know your feelings on a potential season two.
This was such a dumpster fire. I don't know how. I'd be curious to know, they had such a huge budget for this, but it was a Disney Plus show. So how do you quantify if that budget was worth it or not? Because it did get a lot of hype. It did get a lot of publicity, even if it's bad publicity. But they marketed this thing so hard during and after the show ended. The only thing that I've seen recently that even compared from like a marketing level standpoint has been the recent Deadpool Wolverine movie, just because that's everywhere. But it's everywhere for a different reason. It's because I, I guess in both ways people were excited for it before it came out. But Deadpool and Wolverine is staying popular right now like on Facebook and whatnot because people love it. Whereas Acolyte is staying popular right now. I'm gonna use big air quotes in that one because it's kind of like Disney's forcing you to look at it. It's not necessarily people raving about it, it's that it's all over because they're trying to advertise it because they're desperate for more views on it.
Yeah, and also the desperation out of Leslie trying to get everybody campaigning for it. All I can say about the campaigning situation is there's a lot of people that campaign for Solo, uh, a sequel to Solo. I don't know, Solo 2, if that's what you'd call it. But there's been a lot of people campaigning for that, and Disney hasn't even batted an eye. So, and like you said with the money, it's indisputable to think about House of the Dragon and compare it apples to apples. They both had 8 episodes. House of the Dragon had basically hour episodes, and if I remember correctly, they either House of the Dragon had a lower budget or it was very, very close to the Acolyte. So
I'm gonna try to look that up.
I know the Acolyte was 180 million. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at on the show. I'm glad it's done. I'm glad we don't have to cover it anymore. I do see that there's a lot of toys that are popping up from San Diego Comic-Con, like different reveals from Hasbro. And I look at those figures and I just think, I don't even care. The only thing that I've thought about is Chimere's helmet, and that's about it. Did we find anything?
Uh, I found a couple things. I don't know what's fact or fiction.
Kind of wishy-washy?
Yeah, I don't have a confident answer.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, since the Acolyte has wrapped up, we do know what the next project is that's supposed to be coming out, and that is the Skeleton Crew. Myself, I'm a little shocked that we haven't seen anything from it yet. Um, I know in August we have Outlaws. Very excited for that. So my guess is in September we're gonna get some sort of trailer for uh, the Skeleton Crew, and then having it come out in December. That's my thoughts. That way we don't deter attention away from Outlaws and they can, sell their copies of that. let the community talk about the game and, get as many sales as they can, and then they'll be moving on to their next big piece, which would be Skeleton Crew. Now, another thing that going along with Skeleton Crew, maybe why we haven't heard anything is there's some heavy rumor right now that the show is not getting good reception from within. So, like, the people at Lucasfilm are saying this is not quite what we bargained for, uh, and maybe they're going to have reshoots. I don't know. That's kind of a scary thing because, I mean, the show is supposed to come out this year. We are running out of time. We're in the second half of the year already. And so, what's going to happen with it? I don't know. Coming off of the Acolyte, I'm kind of worried about what's going to be coming after it. But if Lucasfilm doesn't have confidence in it, I am very, very concerned.
It makes you wonder if maybe it's giving similar vibes to the Acolyte, and that's why Lucasfilm is a little apprehensive about it because of how bad that was received by the public, and they don't want that to happen again. In which case, them being nervous about it, I think, is a good thing because that would mean that they're trying to push for what we actually want.
Better storytelling. Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. Have you seen The Mandalorian? Do you wonder what Operation Cinder was that they mentioned in this show? Well, we got you covered because we have an entire playlist dedicated to the Star Wars Battlefront 2 campaign, which highlights Operation Cinder. So if you check out our playlist, you'll be able to see what actually happened with Operation Cinder and know what they're talking about with the show. Now back to ours. All right, let's move on to some board game slash card game news. So the one game that we do not participate in, but there is news about it that we'll talk about is Star Wars Unlimited. They had their second set of cards come out, and that set is called Shadows of the Galaxy. We have not gotten our hands on the card game, and I just feel like we're not going to. We're not going to be featuring the cards, the decks, and all that stuff on the channel.
It's just a rabbit hole that can go real deep, real fast in my pockets, and I don't have the funds for something like that.
Right. And we
Not at this
basically
moment.
we basically put if we were to put that kind of money out there, we'd be putting it towards Lorcana. We're already invested in that game. Star Wars is amazing. It is very much amazing, but I know the track record too, where these games last for a little bit and then they die. So I mean, I'm optimistic for it. I hope it does well, but I'm very cautious since we tried Star Wars Destiny and that didn't pan out. But this new set, it does focus on Outer Rim smugglers, scoundrels, and scavengers. Supposedly there are 250 new cards. That sounds expensive. And three new game mechanics that are coming within those new cards as well. So my guess is whatever the new starter decks, they will probably be featuring at least a couple of those mechanics, if not all of them. So if that's your thing, check it out. I'm sure it's great. I know they have some cool cards out there that are, worth a pretty penny. Um, but
You reminded me, another game that I'm gonna say is kind of tanking from the Star Wars group. Was it Rivals that we saw in clearance at Walmart?
yeah, that is true.
So that game came out, I don't know how long ago.
Within the last year, I can say that.
Okay. But we've seen both the starter decks and the like expansion packs be on clearance that are both at our local Walmart and when we took a road trip for some various reasons and one of the Walmarts over there had them on clearance also. So I don't think it's just our one particular store. It seems like that game's maybe becoming obsolete.
That game has been, I looked it up when I did the unboxing and stuff. It's been out just over a year. May
Okay.
2023 is when that came out. And as far as I know, there hasn't been any expansions to it. I mean, there's the blind box that came out with the first run of it, but I've not heard of any new ones. So yeah, that kind of sucks. I believe that's Funko, And normally they have great products. And don't get me wrong, like the figures are great, but I mean, when I showed it on the channel, there wasn't enough there where I was like, yo, Sarah, we gotta sit down and learn this thing. Like, there really wasn't a lot of hype. It's just the fact that there was a new Star Wars game that was available that was cool. So, I mean, you gotta have the ambition to at least learn the game, right? And I didn't quite have that. But good one to bring up. I like it. Let's see.
Yeah, just further proving Star Wars track record with card games.
Yeah. Villainous. We had an expansion for Villainous come out this month. The Revenge at Last. I did put a video out on the channel that went in detail about that game. Basically did the unboxing and then looked at each of the characters involved and how to play them. The two characters that come with it are Darth Maul and Captain Phasma. It is 19.99, which is a much more friendly price as opposed to some of the other expansions they've done in the past. But even though we haven't played it yet, I am very excited to try it. Now, Villainous is one of my favorite card games slash board games, and the Darth Maul deck sounds so interesting. How you have to basically tear down someone's quote unquote strength and confidence, have them become your apprentice, and then raise them up as a dark side user to take out another Jedi. And I just think that is so cool. So I'm hoping to check that out. Phasma's was a little bit more confusing, so a little less hype for that one, but I'm sure if we took another glance at it or watched a video or something, because they have like QR codes on them where you can scan it and learn about the character. Um, Maybe that one would be fun too, but um, are you excited for the expansion?
I dig both Maul and Phasma. Phasma's one who she kind of intrigues me just because it's gonna sound funny, but I really like the actress. I don't know her name, but I know she's from Game of Thrones also, and
Yep.
she seems like such a strong and confident woman that I feel like that really kind of portrayed through her characters, then it makes me excited to try her villainous expansion pack. So uh, for good reason too, because you'll probably grab Maul and then I won't be able to play it, so I gotta pick somebody else.
Yeah. So we'll try it out. And in case you're new to Villainous, you can mix and match all. It's an expansion, but it's a standalone as well because it comes with two characters, so you can play with two people. But you can mix and match them across all the Star Wars Villainous. So if there's someone in the Boba Fett expansion that somebody wants to play as, they can do that with this one. Or if they want the starter box where it has like five different ones, maybe six, I don't remember. Um, you can do that too. So that's kind of the cool and beauty of playing this villainous game. You don't have to have the very first set to enjoy the new ones. Um, One game that's coming out, it hasn't come out yet. It comes out, I think, Friday. But some people are getting review copies and, they're able to take a look at it. Is the Mandalorian Adventures game. That is the one that's kind of like the board book games that we have played in the past from Ravensburger, but this one's not from Ravensburger. This one is Spiral Bounded, but this game comes out on August 2nd. I'm looking forward to it. The games that we have played that are similar to this are very enjoyable. They're basically co-op games where you and some friends play through major events of whatever it is. So the ones that we've played are the Lord of the Rings and uh, what was the other one we had? Wizard of Oz?
Yes. And then we also have, was it Princess Bride? But we haven't played that one yet.
Right. I want to watch the movie before we play that one. Um, but yeah, basically you're going through the moments of the show or movie, whatever it's based off of, and doing different challenges. And I saw today from some screenshots that there's even elements where it's like, don't open this folder until you get to this. Don't open this until you get to that. So there are some surprises there along the way too that I think will be fun. So unfortunately, my birthday is right around the corner, so this is one of those that I'm Gonna leave off to the side just in case it ends up being something I get for my birthday. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm not quite sure if this is going to be like a Target slash retail release or if it's something you're going to have to go and find in like Barnes and Noble or local game stores. It looks like a game that'll be more towards local game stores as opposed to retail, and especially with the price tag. I think it's like 40, maybe $50.
I'm excited to play it. I really liked the Wizard of Oz one. The Lord of the Rings one I thought was cool too, but it was a little harder for me to follow just because it had been so long since I've seen the Lord of the Rings movies. And while those games do tell you the story kind of, I feel like it makes more sense if you already have freshly seen the movie or if you know the background enough just in your own head. I just feel like it makes the game flow better. But The Mandalorian is something that I really like too. I understand they're from different companies, so it's not going to be the exact same. But the spiral bounding, I think, will be a big improvement than the other board books because the other ones from Ravensburger, it's kind of like a children's board book in terms of quality, like thick wood board book, which is great, except for when you're trying to have the pages flat open and you're playing on top of them with miniatures. It can be hard for those pages to stay flat and not like slowly creeping up like a book. So
You
with it
have to
being spiral bound,
put your paperweights on them.
but with it being spiral bound, I don't think you're going to have that issue anymore. So I think that'll be a good improvement on it.
Yeah. So looking forward to it. If we do happen to get it at some point, we definitely will be featuring it here on the channel. Um, let's see. We got a couple more here to talk about today. Let's get the smaller one out of the way. So with Comic-Con that came, a lot of Star Wars announcements came out in terms of like toys and books. There really wasn't much about shows or movies, which was unfortunate. I was hoping for a little bit more. I did do a video where Lucasfilm basically came out and kind of had a preview of what they were going to be talking about, which was the majority of what they talked about. I would say the preview video that I made covers probably about 80% of their announcements. But one of them that I did not cover in that video that we can cover here is that there was a new book trilogy announced that takes place between episode 3 and 4, and it's supposed to focus on the origins of the rebellion. The first book is called The Mask of Fear, and it kind of makes me wonder if this is supposed to be, right in that area of Andor, just not focusing on Andor, if that makes sense. Like, what is happening in the other parts of the galaxy? And also, we can still focus on the political side of things, like Mon Mothma, um, and maybe even our shopkeeper guy. I don't think Andor will be much focus here.
Took me a minute to realize what shopkeeper you were talking about because for whatever reason my brain was going to the one that Ray would sell her like trinkets to, which isn't even the right time period for what you're talking about. But the antique collector is who you're referring to, right?
Yeah, he was like I wouldn't call him two-faced, but he had like a double personality depending on who he was talking to.
Are you talking in the front of the shop or the back of the shop? That'll dictate what personality you get.
That's actually pretty accurate for that guy. Because that's what he does, whether he's in the front or in the back. Have you ever wondered what Amazon coffins are and what they're full of? Well, we got you covered here on the channel. Check out our playlist of our Amazon coffin unboxings where Sarah and I open up boxes that have Amazon returns and we share with all of you what we get in each of those boxes. If you ever wanted to get into liquidation and want to know what types of things you can find, check us out. Now back to our show. All right, so the last couple here are going to be about video games, probably one of my favorite categories. The first one, news dropped yesterday, and that is that we were told who will be the next character for Star Wars Hunters Season 2. And if you get the Arena Pass, you will unlock this character, and it is KAO5, which is it's the droid style of K2SO from Rogue One. And it's funny because KAO5 spells chaos. So that's kind of one of those play on words that they do. Like J3D1, I think is what the droid is, and it spells Jedi, basically. It's kind of like license plate names in a way, for these different characters. From what I
What did you
saw,
mean? What do you mean by the droid version of K2SO? Because he's already a droid.
I think I meant like the droid from Rogue One, not necessarily
Oh,
Verge. Well, because there are different versions of the K2 droid. We see that in like the Jedi game series. Like there's even different colors, but it's like the one from Rogue One.
I gotcha.
What I saw, and because they didn't talk much about mechanics, is that the droid's two arms have two shields, and then it looked like there was like a gun on its shoulder. So I'm half wondering if it's gonna be kind of a brute and like smacking people with shields and also blocking with those shields, which kind of could be a cool game mechanic. But it does make me wonder what the special ability could be. If it's, associated with the gun, there's that. But, what could there be with the arms? Maybe it's like a very fast motion where it's, smacking people tons and tons of times. But because we already have somebody that spins.
What if that gun you're talking about was a missile launcher?
Then it'd be very similar to another character we have. So that's why I'm like, are we doing the same things or is this completely new? What's going on here? But it will be released pretty soon. I think they said August 1st. So if you want to get that arena pass and check it out, by all means. I'm kind of on the fence. I haven't played um, Hunters in a little bit because I completed the arena pass, so there's not a. I mean, there is things to unlock, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I got other games I want to play too, because I mean, I just covered the Avatar DLC, which will be coming out in the month of August. So I had that going on. I got baseball always going on. So it was just one of those games that got the back burner to Dreamlight Valley as well. So maybe I'll jump into season two, maybe not. We'll see. The final one is talking about Star Wars Outlaws. So again, that game is coming out next month towards the tail end.
Woohoo!
Very excited for it. I know I've seen, lots and lots of different things and opinions about the game. Um, it has quite the mixed reception. There's a lot of people saying, the game is fun, but the visuals and the sound effects are crap. And
Mm.
so that is worrisome. You don't want your game to have terrible graphics. From what I've seen, it looks like environments are beautiful. Um, Vehicles and ships all look great, but there's a time or two, like a frame here and there, where sometimes the characters look a little weird, but they still have a month to go. The way that I see it is they still have a month to polish things up. Video games nowadays are very much known for you get a patch on day one to, so they can work basically up until the last possible day. So until we get that day one patch, which I'm assuming is going to be coming out, I'm not going to judge it based on those facts. I think there's still time to clean it up. Have you seen much about Outlaws? Is there any excitement about it?
I haven't seen anything, to be honest. I know it's like, where am I living under a rock?
Oh, I
I
was looking at the
so
light. Sorry, I wasn't rolling my eyes.
either way, no, it's all good. I also haven't seen anything from Comic-Con in regards to Star Wars, because I know you were touching on things that you've heard and whatnot. Um,
It kind of
I,
sucks. I've heard it's been all Marvel. Literally, like Robert Downey Jr. just made everybody not care about anything else.
yeah, pretty much. Between the Marvel movie announcements and then I don't know, I've seen some new toy release launches and stuff like that that are more generic or Disney focused or just like not Star Wars. Just haven't seen a whole lot of Star Wars news lately outside of the Acolyte, which I think that's part of it. It's so crazy to me too, because you think about what they could be advertising right now, and they could be advertising Outlaws, and I never see that on their Facebook channel. It's only the Acolyte, and that's it. So I don't know why they're not. Now that that show is done, I feel like they should be trying to pump out a little bit more excitement for pre-orders or for orders of Outlaws, and I haven't seen anything.
I've seen maybe one or two advertisements like from YouTube advertisements, but as far as like watching uh shows or anything where commercials come up, nope, not a thing. Hardly even on, like you said, social media, which is where you'd think you'd be seeing all that stuff. They do have some books coming out that are going to be focusing on some of the Acolyte characters. And I think that's where they're trying to, hold on to that attention span from fans. Like, if you are a fan of Vernestra, here's a book about Vernestra that's going to be coming out. And so I don't know. I think they're aware that they have kind of a dead zone between now and the end of August when that game comes out, and I don't think they quite know what to do with it. So, um,
I just looked through Facebook and the Star Wars page, like just Star Wars, right? Star Wars page, their last several posts, and I'm talking like probably 15 posts, have just been about the Acolyte, with one post talking about San Diego Comic-Con, what are you excited for, that kind of thing. But if you search on Facebook for Star Wars Outlaws, they have their own page. And so I don't know why that's separate. You'd think that the regular Star Wars page would also be advertising it or potentially sharing what Star Wars Outlaws page is posting. And it does have the blue check, so it is like a certified page. But it's weird to me that that's so separate, because that's probably why I haven't seen anything, is I didn't know it was a separate channel than just the regular Star Wars channel
I bet Ubisoft
page.
is running that page because they're the ones
Oh,
that are making the game.
it could be.
So I bet that's happening. But yeah, they should definitely be sharing the information at least, or retweeting all that good stuff from all the different platforms. Um,
Yeah, you'd think that they might not do it for every post, but maybe once in a while. I should know about this page, and I haven't, because they haven't shared anything.
yeah. So. We'll see. I know they're ramping it up lately, but if you don't look at YouTube and you have access to like IGN and all that, like gaming channels, you probably won't hear too much about it. But uh, like I said,
You will hear.
yeah, there's a lot of mixed reviews, but I'm gonna wait until day one to have my opinions about it. Currently, I think a lot of it looks amazing. I am very excited to dive into the game. I think it's going to be exciting to have a different perspective where we're not always using a lightsaber and, we're actually going to be kind of a scoundrel and seeing what their life is like, in the galaxy. I'm excited to learn about the new character. I'm excited to learn about her droid friend, her little companion dude. I think it's going to be great. So. I'm very, very optimistic about it. And we will be covering it here on the channel. So, um, is there anything else here that you want to talk about for Star Wars news?
No, I think that oh, there is one thing. Sorry, we forgot. There are gonna be new, what is that called? Young Jedi Adventures?
Oh yeah, new episodes?
Yeah, so sorry. On August 14, there's gonna be new episodes of Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures on Disney Plus and Disney Junior.
Nice. I did
So
watch,
I don't know how many, but there'll be new episodes, plural.
I've seen a handful of the, like when it first came out, just to kind of, see what it was like. Is it great for my nephews? Should I recommend it to them kind of a thing? Um, It's not a bad show. It's a good one to get the young ones involved and, seeing some Star Wars.
Weren't the first episodes on YouTube only?
I thought so.
Because this said it's coming to Disney Plus and then Disney Junior. It didn't say anything about YouTube, so that's interesting to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a different style of release and all that good stuff. Um,
Anyway, that's what I got.
well, if you want to make sure to come back for more Star Wars news next month and, when Outlaws is dropped or when and literally any other Star Wars things come out. If you want to hear us talking about it, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Drop us a like if you like the video and drop us a comment letting us know your thoughts on what we covered. And if there was something else that was important that we didn't cover, let us know in the comments. And then as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.